Chargers have injuries on that offensive line that is going to that could possibly get Herbert put in harm's way here. He's already hobbled, and now you're going up against Myles Garrett.
And I,
Uh,
and I don't think Keenan Allen's fully healthy either.
no, he's I don't know what's up with Keenan Allen, but yeah, he doesn't look healthy either.
A
So
wear and tear on that body.
yeah, like they're gonna have to retool here really soon. Uh, but like you said, I do think the game plan is to run the ball. Like the Browns have really set themselves up, in my opinion, for success in a little while because while they do have Deshaun Watson, even when he does come back and he is able to get into the swing of not playing football for the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years, um, they have this offensive line and this run game that will sustain a game and just drag it out for as long as it needs to happen until Deshaun figures it out or
Well,
until it all comes back to him. So
you want to know what's really scary? To
what's
me, the
that?
arm isn't that scary coming off and not playing for 2 years. But they already have the best running back duo in the league in Chubb and Hunt. You add a
Absolutely.
pair of legs back there off of play action, that's going to be hard to defend.
Yeah, I didn't think about that part of it either. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Like, and Kevin Stefanski is learning as he goes, which is who's the head coach of the Browns. He is not being stubborn about his offensive game plan. He is actually rolling with the punches really well, and I like that about him. And they believe in him enough to, make these changes that they made. And so far, it's working. Um, so far, it's working. Let's move on to the Dolphins and the Jets. The Dolphins 3-1. The Jets 2-2. Two was out for the Dolphins. We got Jacoby Brissett. I said Jacoby Brissett. Um,
I think Teddy B,
Say it again.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater. Thank you. Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. Like as much as I want to like Teddy Bridgewater, I just can't get behind him. I saw him in Denver last year, and I did think he was one of the better backups in the league. But seeing Tua play the way he did, I think he's going to be a massive loss. I think I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to. He's just too conservative, man. Like I don't see, I don't see him picking up where Tua left off. Um, and then the Jets, their defense is starting to take form, starting to finally take form. They played a vicious game last week. So, um, what do you think about this matchup?
I still think Miami has too much firepower for the Jets. Like I said, you could put me at quarterback, even with my torque quad, and with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle running open over the middle like they have all season long. I mean, it's just too hard to guard both of them at the same time. You've got that much speed, that much talent. Defenses don't know who to guard. They're trying to switch off. They're trying to play zone against them, try to limit them. But Flores has done a good job at finding those voids underneath, getting those players in space. And I think even with Bridgewater at quarterback, I mean, this is kind of one of the best case scenarios for them with Tua being out going against a team like the Jets, whereas I don't think the Jets are going to be able to keep up with them, even with Bridgewater at quarterback. The Jets are starting to look better, but they're still not there. They're still a ways away. I, I don't know, Zach Wilson, if he's coming back this week. If he does, it's been how long since he's played, so he's going to be rusty.
For me, Zach Wilson could be a hindrance for their offense. I know. Um, what's his name? The former Ravens quarterback,
Black.
Flacco. Thank you. Flacco is actually balling up there. He was throwing for 300 almost every game. And seeing that, and then I know you have to get the rookie reps. I mean the rook reps as much as possible. But ultimately, this is a win first league. Like just win, and you're in a this is a divisional game for them. AFC East. You got to get the wins where you can get them, and I do think that Joe Flacco is their best opportunity to do that on offense.
Trust me, I'm rooting for the Jets because the Dolphins are 3-1 right now. I'm rooting for the Jets to pull off an upset on this one, but I just don't think they have the firepower to keep up with. Even with Tua out, they're just going to run the screen game over and over and just quick slants, getting Tyreek and Jalen the ball fast.
Why
And
wouldn't you?
that's it. You can't take them both out. It's impossible to take both of those receivers out. And if you've watched them over the last few weeks, teams have schemed to either take Waddle or Tyreek out. You'll see Tyreek with 30, 40 yards one game and Waddle with 160. And then the next week, you'll see Waddle with 40 yards, 50 yards, and Tyreek with 160. You've got a
What it
scheme to take
does,
one out, but you can't take them both out.
what that does is especially if you end up changing your game plans during the game, uh, that'll get them both 100 yards. Like it's crazy that that offensive situation is really kind of out there, and their defense is not that bad either. It's not horrible. It's not that great, but it's not bad either. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 1-3, and I'm not talking about a good 1-3 either. It's not a good looking 1-3, but the Bills are 3-1. The Steelers don't look good right now. I don't know. I heard they might be going to Kenny Pickett here soon. I don't. I mean, I don't think Pickett's ready. First of all, personally, um, I actually don't think Pickett is a good pick for them. I know he's a Pittsburgh guy. He's from the area. He went to school in the area and everything like that. But I really don't. I'm not a believer in Pickett, but I'm also not a believer in Mitchell Trubisky. Never thought he was going to be the answer, even in a mid range for them to as a transitional quarterback. Especially against this Bills defense, I definitely don't see Mitchell Trubisky doing anything special against them.
This is the one game of the week that I say that it's probably a safe bet to put the house on the spread on this game, on the over on the spread, because even if it's 10 points, I think Buffalo comfortably beats Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has not looked good. Buffalo, we all know what Buffalo is, and they have been for the last couple of years. Unless they can find a way to get pressure on Josh Allen, force a couple turnovers, this game's not even going to be close.
Yeah, Bills will get back rolling again, which they hit a speed bump a little bit ago, and I thought maybe they can put together 2 wins, but it's the NFL. Anything can happen, and that's literally the only chance Pittsburgh kind of has, in my opinion. Anything can happen, so we keep it moving. Seattle Seahawks versus the New Orleans Saints. Seattle is 2-2 under Geno Smith. Wow, and the Saints are 1-3. Uh how are the Seahawks doing? First of all, let me say this. The Seahawks obviously saw something early in Russell Wilson that they knew that they weren't going to be able to come back from. So much so that they didn't even worry about going to get nobody else. They thought, hey, Geno Smith will work for us better than Russ would. Who would have thought that return would be right, correct, the correct assessment? I didn't. I never thought that in my life. So they were right as of right now.
Yeah, to me, Seattle is kind of running a more simplified offense, which works better with Geno, and they're running it well for what they have. New Orleans, they kind of had really high expectations with Michael Thomas coming back, and for once, Jameson Williams I can't think of his name now. The quarterback for uh, the Saints that hurt his back.
Jameis Winston.
James Winston. He actually looked decent last year. So they had high expectations with Michael Thomas coming back. They brought in Olave, which has looked really good so far. And they've got Alvin Kamara. So I think it's kind of a shock to everybody that they're stumbling as bad as they are right now. And Winston has went back to his 30 for 30 year and has thrown more interceptions and touchdowns so far this year. I mean, maybe he needs another round of LASIK surgery on his eyes. I don't know, but he does not look like the same Winston as he did last year. And like I said, I'm kind of confused with Michael Thomas back and Olave on that roster that they're not rolling better than they are.
For me, I already knew that they would be not. I don't have the way that they're building the roster in New Orleans. It was supposed to work, but I didn't think it would work because what they're doing is they're building a team full of veterans, and the veterans are high level veterans. They play hard and all that stuff. But it just seemed like they already had their guys, and then they brought in guys like Tyron Matthew, and there's a few others that escaped me, whose names escaped me. But seeing that, I just Marcus May, those names just came to my mind. Seeing that made me think there's no youth. There's not enough youth on the team, in my opinion. And I know what Dennis Allen is doing is like these older guys have been here so they can snap to what I'm trying to do pretty quickly, as opposed to waiting for the young guys to just come along and nurse them along. We can hurry up with these older guys and hopefully we get to the where we're going faster. At 1-3, it doesn't look good, especially when you're in a division with Tom Brady. You're just fortunate right now that it's still the first quarter of the season and they're only one win behind everybody. So,
Well, to me, on paper, before the season started, everybody thought they were going to have a top five defense. They brought in Tyron Matthew. They already had Lattimore in the secondary. Um, May, I think they still have Davenport in there on that defensive line. So on paper, everybody thought that they were going to be a top five defense, a top five unit, and they haven't produced. You add that into the success they had on offense last year, even without Michael Thomas. On paper, they were going to be a really good football team this year, but that's why it's on paper. You got to actually play the games.
I agree. I agree. Let's go to the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans will play the Washington Commanders. Tennessee is 2-2. The Commanders are 1-3. And I'm sorry, the Commanders. The Commanders are the same team they were last year. Like they don't look good at all. And I was talking to audience of one, Mo Horton, who anybody listens to the show knows who he is. I was talking to him, and he was mentioning how he's not 100% sure that the head coach for the Commanders is actually a really good coach. And aside from his defenses, I can see where he's going with that. And looking at the Commanders, he just hasn't been able to put anything together that's significant. And I'm also starting to realize all these retread quarterbacks. If you're trying to retread a quarterback, you're kind of lacking in this league. You're at least two steps back from everybody else. If you're absolutely trying to go in there with a retread quarterback and trying to use him to propel your team. And the Commanders, I'm thinking about. The Saints is another team I'm thinking about. The Lions, like those teams might not. Your quarterback might not have been your issue that's holding you back, but it's definitely not propelling you forward. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like I said,
So
this game here, we look at the list of games that we've went through already. It kind of confirms my point from earlier in the show that just how bad the NFC is.